Hello and welcome to video lecture series in political science. Today we are going to start discussing chapter 1, Political Theory and Introduction from your class 11th textbook, Political Theory. Now this chapter is an introduction to this book only. This chapter lays down the basic framework of the ideas that we are going to study as a beginner in the field of political science. It will discuss what we are going to study in political science as an academic discipline. So let's begin. At this stage, political science is a new subject for you. So we need to understand what is political science first. Simply stating, political science is a social science discipline like sociology, history or economics. Political science, like other social science disciplines, overlaps with other disciplines like economics, sociology, history, law, anthropology, public administration, international relations, comparative politics, psychology, etc. Now let us understand what do we mean by political science by understanding some simple definitions, that is, what is political science, what are political institutions and what is politics. Now simply stated, political science is defined as a branch of knowledge that deals with the state and systems of government. It is the scientific analysis of political activities and behavior. Political science is an academic discipline, that is, people study it academically or do research in political science, which is concerned with empirical study of government and politics. In brief, or in simple words, we can say it is a study of political systems or institutions. One of the great philosophers, Aristotle, defined it as the study of the state. Now, what do political scientists do? Political scientists investigate the nature of states, the functions performed by the governments, the voters' behavior, that is, how do people vote and for whom do people vote. They investigate or study the nature of political parties, the ideologies of various political parties. They study political culture, study political opinion, what is the nature of political economy, and many other related topics. These topics you will be going to study in future. Now, political institutions are organizations charged with the creation, enforcement and application of a government's laws. The institutions are intended to mediate during conflict and formulate governmental policies. Political system is a complete set of institutions which includes interest groups, such as political parties are interest groups. They are like trade unions or lobby groups which actually put forward the interest of certain set of people in society. It studies the relationship between these institutions and the political norms and rules that govern the function of these institutions, like elections. Elections are held around a certain set of rules and regulations. Constitution, another way of defining law in society, or legal procedures or law. It is composed of members of a social organizations who are in power, that is, the group that holds power in society. It ensures order and stability in society and guarantees security for the members of a given society. Now let us see what is political philosophy. Political philosophy attempts to provide answers to some of the questions raised by political scientists. Now what kind of questions political scientists raise? They ask, what is the most suitable political arrangement for a given society? Is there a best form of government which every human society should strive for? If yes, what is that form of government? What values or principles should inspire a political leader to hold on a position? How should politics contribute to the progress of humanity? What ideals it should espouse, etc. Political philosophy has its roots in ethics, that is, in questions of as what kind of life is good for human beings. Since people are by nature sociable, we live in a society. It questions what kind of life is proper for a person amongst other people or within the group. Say for example, according to ancient Greek perspective, the quest for the most appropriate structure of the state is the ultimate philosophical goal. So it explores what is desirable for people, what is best or good form of governance for people. Political science is concerned with the study of the state, nation, governments, politics and policies of the various types of government. It deals with the theory and practice of politics, and it is an analysis of the political systems, political behaviors and political cultures. Political scientists see themselves as engaged in revealing the relationship between underlying political events and conditions in a society. And from these explanations or explorations or revelations, they attempt to construct general principles about the way world of politics works. Political science as a discipline is as old as humanity itself. It has ancient roots. But political science as an academic discipline was established in the 19th century only, although it originated about 2500 years ago with the works of Plato and Aristotle. The roots of the discipline in the Western tradition are traced in the works of Plato and Aristotle, most importantly in the work titled as Republic and the Politics by both of them. Now you may ask why we need to study political institutions or political systems. Now let us try to put our understanding into proper perspective. As you know that man is a social animal. He lives in groups. He maintains relationship with other human beings or individuals. Human beings are different from other species or animals in two important ways. What are these two important ways? First, they have the capacity to use language and communicate with each other. And second important capacity is that they possess reason and the ability to reflect on their actions. That is, once they have done something, they can think about that whether they have done it right or wrong, good or bad. Now, unlike other species or animals, they have the ability to express their inner thoughts and desires also. They have the ability to share their experiences and view with others clearly and discuss what they consider to be good and desirable in society. Having its roots in these abilities of human beings, political science attempts to study how human beings can organize themselves in social groups and govern these organizations or formations. It looks into who, on what basis governs and how these societies or groups can be governed effectively. Political theory as a subset of political science attempts to or tries to analyze some basic questions such as how society should be organized, why do we need governments, what is the role of the government, what should be the role of a leader or someone who rules you, how should we choose somebody who rules us, what is the best form of government, does law limit our freedom in society, what does the state owe to its citizens. Political theory systematically examines questions and values that guide and inform political life in general and social life at the broader level. It studies values such as freedom, equality and justice. It studies how these concepts and values are defined. How are they brought into practice in everyday life in places like schools, offices or in the wide variety of public spaces. Apart from this scrutiny, it also attempts to study how we can modify these definitions and make them more democratic in nature. Throughout this book, titled as Political Theory, Class 11 textbook, we will be discussing about a number of concepts related to political theory. Let us begin by understanding what is politics first for that matter. You may be asking that we are studying political science and you might have come across this word politics a number of times. So what is politics? Let's understand this. You might have also used this word politics in some place or in some other context in your life. Let us look at some of the ways in which people use the word politics in their life. For a political leader, for instance, or for those who contest election, politics is a kind of public service or an engagement. Some people use the word politics to refer to manipulations being done by somebody to satisfy his or her personal interest. Whenever we see people in different walks of life trying to promote their personal interest by any possible means, we tend to say they are playing politics. At times your parents may say that they don't like office politics or they have been victim of office politics. Another way of understanding politics is to say what politicians do or what are they engaged in. Politicians or political leaders at times break away or defect from parties. They make false promises during elections to seek votes. They manipulate wishes of people for their personal interest. At times, they even stoop down to the level of committing crimes to fulfill their own interest. Businessmen or people engaged in business too may complain about ruthlessness of other competitors, and they say that they have been victim of politics. So, what are we supposed to understand by politics? Is it something bad that we need to get rid of? What is the actual meaning of politics? Let us try to understand or comprehend its proper meaning. As we discussed just now in various examples, unfortunately, politics more often than not is related to or is associated with pursuit of self-interest. It is seen as something negative, where an individual tries to achieve his interest by any means, hook or crook. But politics, to say, is an integral part of our society and social organization. No society can exist without some form of political organization and collective decision making. If a society wants to survive successfully and it wants to sustain itself, it needs to take into account the majority of, if not all, the needs and interests of the people of the society or its members. An individual is a part of a society, and he is part of number of institutions like family, tribes, economic institutions, professional groups, caste and communities. What do these institutions do? These institutions bring order and pattern in the lives of the individuals. Among all these institutions, political institutions also play an important role. For example, what kind of policies are there that influence your life? Government determines the nature of economic and social policies, foreign policies, educational policies, etc. These policies affect or influence our lives. Since these policies are decided by the government or steps taken by the government influence our lives, as people, we also show deep interest and concern in the formation of the government. What does this mean? That is, whom should we trust with power to decide about our lives and future in democracies? This is what we do through voting. We also form associations and organize campaigns to express our demands. People pressurize government to take care of their interest or change existing laws that affect their lives at times adversely also. Many social movements you might be knowing have come up for achieving certain specific goals. In brief, politics arises from the fact that people have different versions of what is desirable and what is not desirable. And there are different interpretations of what is right, what is just, and what is desirable for us and for the whole society. Let's take an example. Is reservation just for some groups in the society? Or giving reservation to women will lead to empowerment of women, etc.? Are some kind of questions which question the policies of the government. Politics involves a web of negotiations that happen in society through which collective decisions are taken. If on one hand it involves what governments do and how do they help people to achieve their aspirations, then on the other hand it also involves how people struggle and influence this decision making. This is called as the process of bargaining. It may be simply stated that people are said to be engaged in politics or political activity if they negotiate with others on issues of common interest, or they take part in collective activities and strive to achieve social development and solve common problems that are plaguing society. From now on, you are going to study political science as an academic discipline. It will help you to understand nature, structure, and functioning of the political systems and political institutions. Apart from structure and functioning, you will also learn about how political institutions work in order to uphold certain fundamental values of human society. How do they do it? Are they successful in their endeavor, that is, attempt to do so? If not, then what can be done in order to achieve these goals? Political science is an interesting discipline. It will equip you to look at the life more meaningfully and critically. You will be informed more about your life and understand it better. Let us summarize what we discussed in this lecture. In this particular lecture, we discussed about definition of political science, about political institutions and political philosophy, and understood the meaning of the term politics that we understand in everyday life. We also discussed briefly about what do political scientists study and why do they study what they study. And we'll discuss what is political theory in the next part of this chapter. Till then, you can enjoy reading this part. Thank you.